This is an active case since Mr Donaldson has been charged. But what has been the reaction so far from both Northern Ireland and in Westminster to this pretty shocking political news?
Well, that's exactly the word that can be used. Alex, it's shock. Nobody saw this coming. There were people. I was chatting to someone who was aware of Jeffrey Donaldson being in America, actually, for the St. Patrick's Day celebrations at the White House and elsewhere, just on the 17th, or in and around the 17th of March. And certainly he was happy. He didn't seem to have much of a care in the world, although obviously being a leader of a political party is usually quite a stressful job, and certainly in Northern Ireland and in the DUP. But this really came out of nowhere. It was overnight that the social media accounts, including on X or Twitter, as it used to be called, of Jeffrey Donaldson were deleted. And then this morning, there were lots of questions rolling around on social media as to why that was the case. And then this bombshell that a 61-year-old man, who is Mr. Donaldson, and a 57-year-old woman have been arrested in regard to historic sexual offences. And then at just about lunchtime, literally just over an hour ago, this statement from the party officers of the Democratic Unionist saying that Jeffrey Donaldson had stood down as leader. He has been suspended from the party, which is, if you have proceedings against you, court proceedings against you, that is the case. That's what happens. And Gavin Robinson, who is an MP as well, he's the MP for East Belfast. He is now the interim leader of the DUP, and they will have to have a leadership contest. But just absolute shock on both sides of the Irish Sea. You can imagine that very, very many people in Northern Ireland are talking about this. But certainly Jeffrey Donaldson was something of an ally, a difficult friend.
Peter, stay where you are. We'll bring you back in just a second. Joining us now over there in Northern Ireland is journalist Ken Murray. Thank you for joining us, Ken. I mean, obviously, very, very shocking news. But politically, with Jeffrey Donaldson out of the picture, how will that affect relations between the DUP and Sinn Féin?
Well, just for the record, I'm actually in the Republic. I'm in County Meath, but I worked quite a lot in Northern Ireland in my years as a journalist. It should be pointed out that when the Stormont Assembly collapsed, there was immense resistance amongst the hardliners in the Democratic Unionist Party to return to Stormont and get the regional parliament up and running again. Because 2022 turned out to be a pivotal year in, if you like, the history of Northern Ireland. A number of things happened. First of all, Sinn Féin won the most seats in the Assembly election that year. The Irish Language Act was passed. And one thing that happened that was a bit of an earthquake for Unionists was that when the census figures were published in late 2022, for the first time in something like 400 years, the number of Catholics in Northern Ireland surpassed the number of Protestants for the first time ever. So the hardliners in the pro-British Democratic Unionist Party put up resistance to re-entering the Stormont Parliament, where Michelle O'Neill of Sinn Féin was the first minister designate at the time. And the hardliners did not want to go in because they kept making the point that the Northern Ireland Protocol, which was succeeded by the Windsor Framework, which is all part of the fallout from Brexit in 2016, it created a scenario whereby Sinn Féin were and are the dominant party in the Assembly. And some people felt in the DUP that Jeffrey Donaldson was going too far by cozying up to Sinn Féin and going back in. Now, Jeffrey Donaldson did manage to persuade the majority of the executive in the Democratic Unionist Party to restart the Stormont Assembly. And last month it reconvened, and Michelle Smith became the first minister, and her deputy is Emma Little-Pengelly. Now, she's interesting because she holds, if you like, a joint position, but the symbolism in Northern Ireland is that nationalists, Catholics, even Sinn Féin, that comes from a Republican and anti-British background, they are now the dominant party. But Emma Little-Pengelly is interesting because she doesn't have a mandate. So she holds this position without a mandate. And now that Jeffrey Donaldson has stepped down from the DUP, Gavin Robinson has taken over, it's going to be interesting to see if the hardliners in the DUP who oppose sharing the Stormont Assembly with Sinn Féin will make a move to, if you like, usurp the leadership position. There's speculation about Sammy Wilson, speculation about Edwin Poots or Ian Paisley Jr. They are totally opposed to sharing power with Sinn Féin in the Stormont Assembly, but it seems they've gone along with it. And so far, the arrangement between Michelle O'Neill of Sinn Féin and Emma Little-Pengelly of the DUP, it seems to be working out okay. But this development today could throw a spanner in the works, to use a phrase, because as Peter referred to earlier on, there may be a by-election in the coming months. Maybe the DUP will hold out for the general election, which is coming down the line. And there's likely to be some turbulence within the DUP in relation to how it moves forward, working with Sinn Féin. So we're in a sort of a wait and see mode at this moment in time.
Yeah.